Hi there, my name is Dami Olanrewaju. I'm the African Foremost Growth Coach. And today I'll be sharing with you growing your business, growing your sales, okay? And I know that a lot of you on this watching me today, what you want is that you want your business to grow. What we've realized is that sales is the core of business growth, especially for a startup or a broker, an agent, a consultant, what have you. As we know that cash flow is the lifeblood of every organization, okay? So every other thing literally is English once there's no cash coming in, okay? And the major way through which cash comes into the business, especially if you want to grow your business organically, is your sales, okay? Is your sales. And those are some of those things that we'll begin to see, that the major problem of a business starts where, just like the blood, imagine that your blood isn't flowing again, or is not flowing the way it's supposed to be. There's a constriction of some sort. It's going to affect every part of the body. Every part of the body is going to be numb. So bringing it back to business, once there's no cash, payroll, HR, training, purchase of things, whatever, overhead, whatever it is, stops. Okay, so what are the foolproof way of ensuring that your sales keeps growing? Number one, you need to, evaluate your product. You need to get your product right in the first place. But if you are an existing business, you are an agent, you are a realtor, whatever you are watching this, you need to understand that the problem might fundamentally be the product, okay? Because product is created based on value exchange. So if people are not patronizing you, maybe whatever you are selling is not valuable enough. Maybe for their context, it's just nice to have, not need to have. So you have to be able to look at your product and say, is this a nice to have or a need to have? So if it's a nice to have, that might be the bulk of the problem. Maybe you need to change your product line. Maybe you need to find other products from another manufacturer, or let's say you're selling real estate. Maybe you need to get other products from a developer that the market really wants. Or maybe you're trying to sell an upscale product for a low-end market. You're going to reach a brick wall. So for example, another thing could be that maybe the prospect that you have, or you have the capacity to engage, they cannot actually afford the product. So that's a product audience mismatch. So those are some of those things that it could happen. So you need to look at your product, you need to look at your service, whatever you are offering, and you need to evaluate, do a product audit. Is this what the market wants? Can they afford it? If they can afford it today, are they interested? Are the people interested? If the people are interested, can they afford it? If they can afford it or they can't afford it, how do you adjust? So if you are not able to do that, then you are just going to be in a quagmire of some sort where you have products in your hand and you can sell. And once you can do that, you can get your sales. So that leads me to the second point, which has to do with pricing. Okay? Is your product properly priced relative to affordability, relative to what other people are selling? And by that, I don't mean you should go into a price war, because that kind of war, you don't end up, winning it. Even in the marketplace, there's a lot of rivalry that is unnecessary because people are competing on price. Of course, as much as possible, you want your price to be reasonable. But the most important thing is to show both the extrinsic and intrinsic value of what you're selling, so that people can be able to articulate exactly the value and to be able to place a premium on your product. So you might need to begin to go into how that the product enhances their life. You begin to touch those intrinsic, aspects of the clients. So you can't just sell your product based on product features. You need to go beyond that to begin to articulate the benefit at a very higher level, so that at the end of the day, they're able to see beyond the normal price point that you're giving and to be able to accentuate the value and of course by default the price they're willing to pay. Okay? So the other thing you need to look at is your communication. The question is, storytelling is a very critical part of sales. How are you navigating yourself? How are you telling your story? What's the big deal about the product? Are you articulating that big deal to us, or you are just telling us the general features? Okay? And that's why I told you in the first place, once you play the feature game, price point is already a problem. Value perception is already a problem. And now how you take care of that is how well you're able to communicate the value you're providing to the marketplace. So you need to get the story right, you need to get a value proposition right, you need to get out the kind of story that will resonate with people. Remember, when people are buying, they don't only use their cognition, there's the emotive part of buying. And in fact, that is even most of the time constitute more than the cognitive aspect of buying, even though you must appeal to both in your communication. So cognition on this one hand and emotion on this other hand, then you find a perfect story that can resonate with your audience. And that leads me to another point about audience profiling. You have to be able to profile and segment your audience. No audience are alike. So you need to find out what works for this might not work for this person. Okay? And that's why, as much as possible, you want to play in an homogeneous market, which most of the time is not realistic. For example, your product can be a B2C, which is business to consumer. At the same time, it might be a B2B. Your product can be for maybe a nursing mom and maybe a single person. So for example, Pampers. So how you talk to a nursing mother will be different from how you're talking to a youth. How you would sell a condom to a young person, maybe in a school, is different from how you sell it to somebody that has 3 kids. So for example, what is the major reason why a youngster will use a condom? It will be because to protect her from venereal disease or unwanted pregnancy. For the other person to be for birth control. So you get what I'm saying? I'm just using random example just to be able to articulate the point I'm trying to make. So you must be able to properly segment your audience and to be able to communicate appropriately, using the right word, the right nuances, the scenery they can understand, the emotion that can unlock that emotive part of them, and all of that. Those are triggers, and you need to learn that in proper communication. So another way to improve your sales would be to make sure that your follow-up and your CRS system is in place. Remember that there's something we call the sales funnel, which means the top of the funnel, middle, and the bottom of the funnel. You must always have customer in all of those segments. So you must get your funnel right. On the top of the funnel is prospecting. So that's why there's a maxim. It's called always be prospecting. That's what you do at the top of the funnel. The second one is always be nurturing. That's what you do at the middle of the funnel. The third one is always be closing. That's what you do for the bottom of the pyramid, which is like 3%, or maybe you are lucky if you have quality prospect at 10% of the total pool of the people you are talking to. A lot of people express frustration in sales because their pipelines are not full. Don't be a 1 client, 2 clients, professional, entrepreneur, agent. You can't do that. You have to have a lot of people by the time in your pipeline, and you should always be nurturing them, sending them, for each of the spectrum, each of the segment of the funnel. There are different ways to approach them. For the top of the funnel, you need to nurture, you need to give general information to push them into the middle, where you do the full nurturing. But at the basic level, you expose them to certain information that you think will take them from that process of being unaware of your product or uninterested to have somewhat interest in what you are selling to them, and from there you can now begin to do a deep dive on them, to nurture them, to begin to find out the obstacles or what you can do to sweeten the deal to move them to closing. And at closing, you are already developing contract of sales, you are already developing taking them to maybe where the property is, whatever you have to do to make sure you're closing on them and ask them for the money. And at that point, a lot of people also your ability to be able to know where your client is on the spectrum. I've had instances where the people I coach or the people that work with me, they are profiling a client as a client that will close, whereas the client is not going to close. The client is still at the top of the funnel, which is basic prospecting. But clients can disguise, prospect can disguise. It's your ability, and it comes with experience in any case.